Good afternoon. It's been a while since we've done a drive. Let's try out the new version of FSD. That's 12.3.6. We'll give it a shot in some of my trouble spots in St. Paul. I haven't tested it yet in these spots, so this should be interesting. Let's get rolling. So I'm at Crystal Beach in Burnsville, and this is kind of one of our favorite hangout spots on hot summer days. Pulling out of the parking lot here. A little bit in front of another car coming, but there's enough gap. And traffic on this road isn't too fast. Now I wanted to start here because this is near one of my typical travel places. I found this route on an early version of FSD, and it just could not handle the lane markings on a road coming up. So we're going to hit that and then head up the highway. I won't show you that because highway autopilot is old news, and I want less footage to go through. So after we come down and out of this neighborhood, we'll head down to St. Paul and try some of the confusing small roads that are around there and see our update from, I think, about a year and a half ago when I tried that last. So creeping up here, a little better visibility. This is a 50-mile-an-hour road in front of us. We're a little bit into the crosswalk, but we're leaving part of it open, and we did stop earlier and creep up. So looks like these two trucks are turning here to our left. You probably can't see them, but it's confirming that they're both clear and went right away. Crossing traffic in front of us there had an appropriate slowdown. Probably could have continued without slowing down at all, but it's a safer maneuver that way just in case. So as we turn here, there's obviously the cross traffic coming, but it looks like we're going to wait through this arrow until we get a green probably. But as we turn here, I believe the lane we're going to be turning onto becomes a turn lane, and then the next block it's opposite. And in previous versions, autopilot would get very confused about where it's going. At one point it actually took a turn that it wasn't supposed to just because it found itself in the lane. So here we've got the green light. Let's see how this handles. Okay, so coming from the other way, we would have been in the right-hand lane, which turns into a turn lane. It obviously didn't have to figure that out because we were in the opposite side. But I've had weird turns both ways at this intersection before. And a frequent problem in some of the earlier builds would be it knows it has a left-hand turn coming up, and so it would jump into this long turn lane here and then again ahead, and I'd have to disengage for that. Probably didn't need to slow down that much into a turn lane, but that's to get into the turn lane, but that's very, very nitpicky. A little slow coming into here. I'd like it to complete turns a little faster than it does. But again, this is nitpicky stuff. Getting a little close to those garbage cans, but not scary. Just not something I would probably do. And we're turning into the Crystal Lake clubhouse for the golf course here. Again, I'd make this turn a little faster, just in case there were people behind us, get out of the way. And this is pretty much right where I put the pin. So we'll stop here, reset, and head up to St. Paul. I'll show you that road again, because sometimes it goofs up going down. Okay, so just navigated to the St. Paul Cathedral, which is kind of near the Capitol and the Xcel Energy Center. So we'll get up there, and then from there we'll go over into some neighborhoods. Could have had FSD get us out of the parking lot, but I just forgot. So here we're just leaving the golf course. I'll get us to the highway, and then you don't have to watch through the highway part. There's not much new there anyway. It's generally pretty good. I'll show you the merge onto the highway, because sometimes that can be a little goofy still, but after that I'll cut the cameras. So coming back down, sometimes there's some quirkiness here. Another Tesla friend. There's getting to be so many Teslas on the road that people don't wave anymore, which I guess is good. It's kind of the same way when we got our Prius. It was so fun to see anyone else that had a Prius in 2008 that we waved and they'd wave back. It's how it's been with Teslas, but there's just so many on the road that people are busy driving and not thinking about waving. So nice lane placement here. It'll be interesting which... Okay, it does stay on the right lane because we are going to take a right to get on the interstate. So it was a good choice. This is the lane I would have picked. Oh. It's debating whether or not to go around this guy and decided to. The auto speed feature has been a little hit or miss. That's a frequent intervention where I just have to give it a little more acceleration. If it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone and it's going 29 and I've got two cars behind me, I'm not just going to let it be pokey and not get up and go. So I've had a couple instances where it's gone a little too fast, but that's been pretty rare. So, got into a turn lane early here. That wasn't correct, but it resolved it pretty quickly. I'd like to see that kind of stuff ironed out, especially if there's heavier traffic. I don't know if you can see it in the camera view, but I am keeping a hand on the wheel. and making sure it's going to merge correctly. I would have my blinker on by now, so I'm going to add that. It's pretty obvious we're merging, but oh, that did all right. There was a truck coming up, but it wasn't going that fast. So we got in here and are picking up speed. See if it lets this semi in. It's coming over. Yep. All right, looks like this should be a pretty standard interstate run from here. So I will catch you all when we hit St. Paul. All right, this is a pretty drive as we're coming into St. Paul, so I thought I'd share that and also let you know the last several miles, just a couple personal preference lane changes were the only interventions I had. Never taking it out of FSD, but we're gonna cross the river here and be in St. Paul. Another nice thing that just happened, I was in the right lane and another lane was a merging traffic lane was coming up, and there's the river. I don't know if you can see it over the bridge, but anyway, we had a merging traffic lane coming in, and something I've wanted to see it do for a long time actually happened, in that a car was coming up. It was going to be right next to us, and instead of waiting for that to happen and then causing confusion with the other driver, it appeared to notice that merging car coming and just slid us over into the open left lane. So been wanting to see that for a long time, and good behavior there. And this road is a little strange. It's a 45 miles on the 45 miles an hour on the interstate. Generally, people go anywhere from 55 to 60 on here. So it'll be interesting to see what FSD does now. It's taking us down to 50. Technically this is correct, but that's not the way people use this road. We're not slowing anyone down right now. Traffic is light enough. And you can see we're getting past a lot. So I'm going to bump the speed up just a little bit. Another reason for heading up to the Cathedral is there are a lot of goofy intersections coming up here, and it's a good landmark to start from. Nice, no hesitation through there. Got into the correct lane. Yep. I was just going to say we need to change lanes and get in the left lane, and it was doing it right as I was saying it. Those are the little confidence building moments I've noticed, that when you're just starting to think, hey, I should change lanes, hey, I should do this, I would be doing this, and like instantly the car is doing that without saying a word or taking any action. Now here, because we are in town, and these turn lanes aren't long, I would get closer to the Ford in front of us just to create more space behind me. I'm looking out the side mirrors and it's not backing traffic up yet, so it was okay, but I'd like it to be a little more assertive in those situations. And here we are coming up to the St. Paul Cathedral. So I'm going to cancel that and go up to a parking lot on the next block. And we'll put in a new destination. Just leaving the cathedral, and I put in a destination. I'm not quite sure where it is, but it looked like it was in a hive of residential. So we're gonna try to go there, then hopefully we've got enough battery life for one more stop before we're done for the day. So far it's just been nitpicky little items, but the car's done all the driving. But this should get it more intense with traffic, weird turns, and smaller lanes. Maybe cyclists, who knows? A couple things I've noticed is that little hesitation there, and then the gal on the side road waved us on, so I hit the accelerator. We started going, but then she started going, so FSD was stopping, but then she waved us through. So I think if FSD had been more aggressive and just did a quick stop and go, we would have, she probably wouldn't have gone. So that mandatory long stop at each stoplight can confuse people. So I was thinking we'd be taking city streets this whole way. It looks like we may be entering a highway, because before that stop sign incident, I was saying that the car will find really efficient ways to go places where I always think I'm going through neighborhoods, I'm going to stay on the neighborhood roads, or this will all be small road driving. And FSD finds the most efficient route, which is usually to take larger roads, even within the neighborhoods, and get close and then branch off at the last minute. Which is a little weird, because I think we have a mindset of it's not that far, or why get on the interstate or a highway or bigger road for 2 blocks. So it's an interesting mindset shift to let it do things that don't necessarily come naturally to you, but still work just fine. The traffic control stoplights there, it was a little hesitant when we got our green, so I gave it a little touch of acceleration to keep it moving. Now, so my assumption was we would be taking all city streets here, but it chose differently. And a lot of people will say, well, you know, like it's nice to have autopilot or FSD on the highway, but I can drive around my neighborhood, I can drive around my city just fine. And that's true, but that's actually one of the places where I find it most useful, not generally when leaving my house. Sometimes I'll, navigate to the grocery store or something like that, but putting in navigation to go someplace like that, doesn't seem really worth it. But you can navigate home with just a touch of the button. And so if I'm at the grocery store, a lot of times I will just navigate home and let it do the drive home. Another nice thing with the city streets is a lot of times you're driving to a park or coming back from, say, Dairy Queen with a blizzard that you're sharing with a child, and you're trying to feed them in the back, or they spill something in the back, or there's some other drama going on in the back seat. And to know you can handle it with a hand on the wheel and eye on the front, but the kind of desperate, quick reaching back that you would do in any car as a parent is a lot safer with FSD taking the bulk of the driving. Still want to be paying attention, but there have been many times in my older cars where I would kind of have one hand half on the wheel and reaching back for some emergency and praying I was holding it steady. And this is FSD is holding it steady, and you can keep just light pressure with a finger on the wheel to tell if it's, if the wheel jerks or something that that it would need to, draw your full attention back forward. Go. That was me. It was not going to go, and I pushed it. Because frankly, I don't want to sit at another stoplight, and it was yellow. But it did beep and warn me that I was doing something it frowned upon. It made the safe choice of, just waiting for the next light, but I'm impatient. That might be one of those moments where people say, well, I don't want to use FSD until, I don't have to pay attention. If I hadn't been paying attention and, reading a book or using my phone or something, I wouldn't have minded, waiting through that light. Just let it take its time. But since I'm still ultimately in control, my time is more valuable. coming over, so I hit the accelerator just to get out of the way of that semi that was changing lanes. FSD probably would have waited and stayed behind it. Kind of felt like it was lagging once that turn signal came on. Again, if you're not paying attention or don't need to pay attention, that's another thing that you would just not worry about. Although that truck is now at least 2 blocks behind me, so there is that. Still not avoiding all these manhole covers. I have had it avoid a duck and a rabbit, and even a dead opossum. We'll probably cut some of this out too, because this is pretty simple. Hopefully we'll get on some smaller city streets here, because this has not been much of a challenge. I've had trickier driving situations in Burnsville than what this has been so far. Nice slide over for that stopped car. Something on the ground there, but it looks like just a piece of rubber. Nothing it needed to avoid. And it could have made it in front of that red car, but it was fine and polite to let it go ahead of us. Obscured stop sign. It saw it the last minute, but I got it. I didn't know that was there either, so a little abrupt stopped, but I would have had to do that too. So we are near the park I navigated to, and it's pulling right over. Perfect. Let's try one more and see if we have battery life for it. Not sure if we'll have battery life to get us all the way there, but hopefully we'll come upon some interesting situations and see how it does. These folks have their door open. Nice, going slow around that. Nice job waiting for the pedestrians. I would go now. It's creeping. I would go. I would go. I am going. Just gave it a little nudge. There seems to be an interesting thing. I've noticed this in other builds too, where if there's no cars coming, it almost seems like it doesn't have a reference point. Like it wants traffic, so it knows for sure where cars are. And when it doesn't see any cars, it just waits, which is obviously less safe because it's much safer to go when there's no other cars around than wait for a car and then go, oh yeah, but there might be 8 cars behind that one. So you're just introducing more possibility for mistakes. So I don't know if there's a good way for them to kind of prod that a little bit of like, if it's clear, just go. Like maybe take a couple milliseconds to confirm it. Computers should be able to do that as fast or faster than we can. But like, if it's clear, take your opening and go. All right, we are in the next day. I had both GoPros die, not too far from each other, and nothing really interesting had happened until after they were dead. So coming back to St. Paul, back to the same neighborhood, and I'm navigating to the place where I had some disengagements yesterday afternoon, and I'll show you why. It's another beautiful day for driving. So here again, it had the opportunity to go, did not take it. A car started coming and it waited for it, which was okay, but could have just gone in front of it. In the rest of my drive home yesterday, good stuff for a pedestrian here. Wanted to keep stopping, so I gave it a little acceleration. It stopped in plenty of time, but I think if the guy had continued walking, it would have stopped sooner. Still, there was plenty of space. He was okay. I did give him a hand signal once I was confident FSD was going to stop, but obviously I was ready to put my foot on the brake if I needed to. So yesterday I did have what I would say is a critical disengagement that I think I did get footage of once I got one of the GoPros working again, so I'll show that here. To take that route, well, that was not good. At a stoplight or stop sign on cross traffic, did not have to stop, and the car pulled out in front of it. There again, I could have waited to see if it would cancel in time, get a little closer but to this red car. But part of this testing is telling it to do things the right way and also not making other drivers uncomfortable. I feel like that's a big responsibility of, being a beta tester, now supervisor, is, taking over when it's doing things it shouldn't. We are taking a little bit different path than yesterday. Yesterday we went right on the bridge across to St. Paul, or downtown St. Paul, towards CHS Field. We're going to be near that, but I don't think we're actually going to take that bridge. No disengagements there, so you aren't missing anything, but this is just a slightly different path. This actually has more interesting roads. Not as beautiful of a view, but more interesting roads and intersections, though. So. Auto speed is doing okay. Here, there's probably 2 to 3 car lengths between me and the car in front, and just because there are people behind me, we're in town, I would tighten up a little bit. This is obviously safe, but I can see it being annoying. Like this SUV might be looking at that gap, wondering if he could get in, and it's just not quite enough space, but I don't know, a little strange. Here is an interesting spot. We do have a cross street that goes to a dead end on our left, and it kind of left, that gap was good for that, because had someone wanted to get through, they would have had space. But there was no one there. I don't think, that's where, you have to kind of get rid of or be okay with not everything going exactly like your driving style. Some people would see the gap between vehicles as being perfect. I see it as being a little too long, and so it's just a matter of personal taste. So we are coming back into downtown in just a different way than I've done before. Interesting, it's taking 52. Which I think I picked the route that was not on the highway when I selected the navigation, so I wonder if that changed or if we're just going to be on here for a second. And it looks like we're going to exit pretty quickly here. So over the river. Another interesting thing happened last night, that on X, Elon said that the next version of FSD 12.4 will not have steering wheel nags, which they don't really bother me. I'm generally want somewhere to put my hand anyway, so a lot of times I will just rest it on the wheel, and so for that reason don't get a lot of nags. But it will be, it does seem like this version has had fewer. I think I said that earlier. So it will be interesting to see if they just do, cabin camera only. Oh, that was a little snug to that truck, but fine, but I would have gotten over to the left a little bit more. We have a green light. I'm giving it a little acceleration, just give it a confidence boost. Again, I wouldn't have to do that, but I feel like giving it a little input here and there is good for development. Elon said at one point, all input is error, and I get what he means is like you shouldn't have to do any input, and if you do, that means the system isn't ready yet. I think he said that on an earnings call, 2 years ago or something like that. But it's also valuable to tell it things aren't quite right, or you're not moving fast enough, or you need to make decisions quicker. So I may be a little liberal with my acceleration pushes. Where other people might just let it go and see what it's going to do. I'm also very cognizant that we are in an electric car, and maybe some people have preconceived notions about EVs or electric car drivers, and so not making people mad on the road is a high priority for me, to kind of dispel those myths. So we're coming up on the point where I had a disengagement, and I didn't know this when I picked this spot randomly yesterday, but this road is under construction. So where it's going to want to turn, it can't go down that road. And I did yesterday kill the turn signal and gave an accelerator press, and it did continue up a couple roads, but then did try to get back to that spot. So let's see what it does today. I do have a good handful of cars behind me, so I'm not going to let it think for too long. It is putting the turn signal on here again, and trying to get into a turn lane, so I just turned the turn signal off, and it's turned it on again. It can't go that way. So far the only thing I've done is cancel the turn signal now 3 times. It's got to stop here for the flashing red. Stops way too long. Acceleration, press. You can see it's still trying to get back over there. So it's going to take this next turn. And this is pretty much what it did yesterday, so that's good. We're getting a repeat example. Now, as the driver, if I wasn't doing this, I'd see, oh, that road is closed. I'll just cancel navigation and do something else. But because we're letting this go, and I want to show you what it did yesterday. Oh, slowed down for a big pothole there. I was wondering what it was doing, and then felt that lurch. So here it's going to try to get back on that road that's closed. And this is what it did yesterday. It's going to try to figure it out. And really, if it was reading these signs, it would be taking one of these rights to try to get us close without going in there. Yesterday, this Ford was not parked here. And so the car's kind of confused, doesn't know what to do. Eventually, it's going to try to go, and that is what it did. So it may have just gone straight through, but there are workers here, and yeah, I'm not going to allow it to do that. So I'm going to turn around, head left. I think this is what I did yesterday. And then put FSD on again. So testing this stuff is fun, but I'm not going to interfere with construction workers. Maybe if it was later in the afternoon or something, there wouldn't be people working, and I might let it try to go. Here it's trying to take a left again into that road closed area, and so I'm going to take it out. So obviously this is not handling it perfectly, but as a human, knowing, hey, there's construction there, I can't get through, and I think it's still closed on this, and yes, it is. So I'm going to close that, and so that other disengagement I had, that was obviously the road closure disengagement is a disengagement. They need to figure that out. But I have had it go through construction areas pretty well on this build. So that's different than a road actually being closed. So still something to work on there. But coming up here is where I had that other disengagement, where the car waited quite a while for some cross traffic, and then decided to go as a car was turning in front of us, and probably would have stopped if I would have let it go, but it was heading out too aggressively for my taste. This car does not. Okay, here it did it again. Okay. Cross traffic does not stop, and car pulled out in front, or car intended to go in front of that cross traffic. It was a terrible description of what happened, but I always find it hard to, when I give feedback, give it succinct explanations of situations. So it'll be interesting to go back from the footage yesterday to see if that was that same intersection, because here we have stops all ways across, and so it must have been that same intersection. So definitely a flaw there. I'm not sure what it was, and like yesterday, I could have let it go and see what it did. I don't think it would have gone out and hit that white van, but there's a responsibility you have to other drivers as far as making them comfortable as well. So that was a pretty good illustration of the rest of what happened yesterday. Pretty much mimicked exactly the issues I ran into. Well, we made it back to the lake, and really it was just those couple interventions toward the end in St. Paul where I was trying to force it into a construction zone, and was having a hard time figuring out that it couldn't do that. So I'll take half responsibility on that one. The real disengagement was the cross traffic one at the end there, where I think it thought the cross traffic had a stop sign. It didn't. I don't think it would have gone all the way to hitting the car, but I think it would have freaked out the other driver. No point in doing that, so it took over there. But all in all, FSD is getting very good. I really enjoy it, and I hope you'd enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Got lots of fun stuff coming up. We've had a little bit of delays on a couple videos, but we do have fun stuff planned for the summer and hope to take you along with that. So like, subscribe, share, all that nonsense, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.